everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Catch That. I am Naturally Elise, and that's my bro,
JR.
Hey, and today we are welcoming back Zoe.
What up? What up? How y'all?
We good.
Good.
Yes.
All right, we
Great.
back in this thing.
Yes, great to see you again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go run quickly through his bio, even though we've done it before, but it's some people tuning in for the first time. So Zoe can be seen on stage as the keyboardist and musical director for Grammy-nominated duo The Foreign Exchange. In 2014, he completed music work for the Adult Swim animated series Black Dynamite. Zoe co-produced The Foreign Exchange's 2015 release, Tales from the Land of Milk and Honey. His Skybreak album was released in 2016, along with its accompanying behind-the-scenes, two-time award-winning documentary, Making Skybreak. Zoe began expanding his musical repertoire to include film scoring, completing full scores for documentaries, and Black, White, and Blue, and The Takeover, along with production partner Fonte of The Foreign Exchange. Zoe helped to compose music for the IFC sketch comedy series Sherman Showcase. In 2019, Zoe released Forefront, his fourth compilation style album on FE Music imprint, and he just released a new project that we will talk about a little bit later in the show. So welcome again.
All facts.
This is so exciting. Because y'all, again, if y'all watching for the first time, we interviewed Zoe. Not interview, here I'll go again. We don't interview, we have music conversations, sorry. But we did a show with him and we talked about Shalimar's Friends album, which was an amazing, y'all check that out, it was dope. We all fanned out to that album, it was nuts. So Zoe was like, yo, I'll definitely come back. And we was like, all right, cool. So we was like, all right, what we gonna talk about with Zoe? So we had 3 albums that we wanted to talk. We was like, all right, let him pick between, was it Southern Hummingbird? It was, who else was it, sis?
Mama's Gun,
and Voodoo. And I was like, and I told sis, I said, he's gonna pick Voodoo. And of course, he picks Voodoo.
I figured I wanted to give a choice. As you see, there were all albums that were released in 2000.
Yeah, so we was like, yo, we're gonna talk about Voodoo and all that. So this is gonna be dope because Voodoo is definitely one of the best albums to be released, period, artistically and all that good stuff. As you can see, Elise has it in the background. I'll do it before she does. Zoe has his. Unfortunately, I don't have it on vinyl or nothing.
There you go. You can borrow mine, brother.
Yeah, catch up, JR. And I'm actually picking on him. I'm picking on him. He bought me this Voodoo for Christmas.
Oh, word up.
Yeah. I know she loved this. I was like, let me get it for Christmas. So, But again, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about D'Angelo. We're going to talk about other albums that was dope during that time and all that good stuff. So, yeah, let's get it started, people. Let's talk. So, we're talking about Voodoo, but we have to start with this one. Now, I have this.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Brown
I have a CD, but I don't have the vinyl.
Yeah, I got the CD.
Yeah.
And it's my CD that I had that I bought when it came out.
I've got the Brown Sugar single too.
Oh,
wow.
Like Brown Sugar, the song, when it first came out, like it just exploded. Like it was one of those things where it was kind of like, okay, this feels familiar, but nothing right now sounds like it. So
yes,
it will always remind, that song will always remind me of summer 95. That's when I got it. That's when I, had it in my car. I'm like, this is like my first or second year driving. So I'm like looking for anything and everything to bump. That's, that loudly. So like going to baseball practice, all that stuff. And, that's what I'm bumping. I'm bumping summer 95. I'm bumping Infamous. I'm bumping Question Mark Asylum, Hey Look Away. I'm bumping Brown Sugar. Like a lot of that reminds me of summer 95.
Wow.
That's crazy. Then, once he came out with like the remixes and things like that, and then here comes Lady and Dreaming Eyes of Mine, especially when I heard the JD remix of Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine. That was incredible. Like all the remixes, I like the Lady remix that Primo did, with AZ, right?
Daisy.
Yeah.
And, but that Dreaming Eyes of Mine, once I heard that, and I don't even think it was that early. I think that was a little bit later, when I was really like just digging for all things JD, like, which is why Voodoo to me is such an important time in my personal musical development, because I was in college from 96 to 2000. So at that point, I'm this kid out of Michigan and I'm in Kentucky, and that's like a huge culture shock, just straight up down. I'm there playing baseball, and all my teammates are white, and like everything is just different. I'm coming from Detroit, and all my teammates was black. Like my whole team was black, so it was like huge culture shock. So like my connection to everything was music. And at the time I only played piano. It wasn't anything that I was pursuing. I just played. I knew how to play, but like music was my connector to everything. So I wasn't really connecting at that time with, they were heavy on No Limit, they were heavy on Swab House. I wasn't really connecting with that at that time. Like now I can go back and I can be like, oh, that was my shit. But like then, I was like digging. So like this was my digging phase. I was really, really digging. So hearing, things like Brown Sugar, and then, my freshman year hearing Voodooism, and then it's like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. Where I started taking the hip hop approach with R&B, where I'm like, okay, all of my hip hop shit I'm finding like on 12 inches and on, a lot of underground shit. At that time, Rawkus was starting to make a name for itself. Yes. So I'm like, anything with a Rawkus label on it, I gotta have it. Same thing with, anything with DJ Premier produced by Pete Rock, like I've gotta have it. I'm not even going to Blockbuster Music to listen to it first.
Ooh, Blockbuster! Come on, so Blockbuster though.
Where they had the headphone,
the stations,
the headphone station. I'm like, I don't even need that. Anything with RZA on it, like I'm buying it. Like I need, like it was a thing where I'm just like, I'm in this foreign place to me, and this is what I need. Like just keep feeding me music. And that's why to me liner notes was important, because I'm like, okay, I'm opening Outkast album and I see Joy. Okay, where can I find Joy at? And then I find Sunshine in the Rain, and it's just you start to connect the dots musically. Out the help of Discogs and Google and all this stuff. Like that was your Google. Like you literally had to crack it open and connect the dots yourself. Right at that time was Ella Delph Half-Life. Like I was like, this is me. Like this is my lane. This is where I need to be. So anything I was seeing on those albums, like I was going to get. If you were on that album and you had a solo project, I probably went and bought it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's interesting that you mentioned the other music that was out, and everything that you said was hip hop, because that was the time. And when you go back and look at the charts, from 95, well, like before they put the charts together, before they separated the charts, where it was just hip hop and R&B together, like R&B couldn't get through to number one. Like the only people that made it through the number ones was D'Angelo, Mary, Erica, and like 2 or 3 others, and that was it. Like because Brandy couldn't get through, like to number, so.
And she was huge, and it's like she really couldn't get through at all. But it bugs me out with this Brown Sugar project is that it was a sleepy hit, which the album was, because everybody rocked with Brown Sugar, because like you said, so it was something different. It was something like, wait a minute, this ain't what's on the radio right now. This is something completely different. But then it was like the album really didn't hit until like 96, which confuses the heck out of me because if you go online and you see a lot of the awards shows, he was winning for Brown Sugar in '97. And it was like, well, damn, the album damn near 2 years old. But again, it didn't hit until what? Since it was Lady, right? That's when
it really, because Lady was on MTV.
Yeah, that was the haymaker for the album.
Yeah, because I'm like, Brown Sugar's so dope. Then he do Dreamy Eyes of Mine. I'm like, okay. And then it seemed like once Lady hit, it was like, boom, it was out of here. It was like, now the album's all over the place and everybody is this and everybody like, who is this D'Angelo dude? But I'm like, he done been on Soul Train. He done been on all this and now y'all hitting. You know what I'm saying? Because I know when we heard Brown Sugar, it was like, who is this cat? Like, who is he? And then it was like, after we got the project, because we didn't get it in July of '95. I think we got it in like November. And then after I heard Shit Damn Motherfucker, I was like, okay, this dude is something different. Like, I don't know what y'all bugging, but I'm going to school talking about it, and everybody like, who? I'm like, D'Angelo, y'all kidding me right now? Like,
and the joint on that album is Jones in My Bones.
Come on now, come on, Zoe. You better give Angie Stone her props right now. Like,
that's one.
Oh my God, that is my joint right there. Jones in My Bones. Oh.
And then Dilla took that and flipped it for Slum Village.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like, you know, you have roads on it. He's playing roads, and like, I'm like, what is that? It sounds like water. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, he took that same sound and that same texture and moved it to Voodoo, and it's like, yo, this shit is like the movement just on that. You know, it's familiar drums for '95, you know, kind of hip hop, ASR sample drums. And, you know, but like the movement that he had on his keys, just in the chords and the effects and stuff like that, like we hadn't really heard that like that.
And just to think right between that gap, D'Angelo was like, I had writer's block. You had writer's block and you gave us Voodoo? What kind of shit? Like,
you know what, that kind of explains why it took so long, because I remember hearing Amir saying that I think didn't they cut that album from like 96 to 99?
Yeah, it was like 3 years it took for the album to be made, because he was like, he wasn't in, I think D'Angelo couldn't write and he just was, he wasn't there, you know what I mean? But once they got there, it was like, we're in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in there. You know what I mean? Just, it feels like, you know, somebody that just brought out an album. It ain't me and Elise on here. And,
and like, with Brown Sugar, it also was a project that I like. I was young. I was like 16, 17. That my mom loved. In fact, for a long time, I think she loved that album more than me. Like, and I loved it, but she had a whole nother. So, you know, so because it was familiar, you know, but it had a little bit of new, so it appealed to both of us.
Yeah. And I think that's what D'Angelo bridged the gap with that, especially with the Brown Sugar for sure, because it was like, when the older generation hear it, they hearing a lot of familiar musical styles on this. They like, but then the hip hoppers, because I call this, and this was, I got this word in college. This album was for the niggas that loved R&B. Like, to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, it really was, because it was like when me being in college and we talking about R&B albums, a lot of the dudes be like, yo, Brown Sugar is it for me. And I'm like, really? And they like, yo, this joint is so street, but it's still hard. It's hard, but it's still, you know, it's still soft, quote unquote.
No, absolutely. It was hard. It was hard drums with melodies.
Yeah. And that's how I think everybody connected to it, because it was just like, okay, he's connected to the hip hop community, but it's still soulful. You know, it's hip hop soul, but they called it neo soul, which I can't stand. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's how he connected. So I, you know, for me, and just to know that after that he was in writer's block, but again, he was still working with the Soul Craze. So he was doing stuff for Space Jam. He was doing, you know what I'm saying, stuff for different soundtracks. And you know what I'm saying? Then he did the live at, which I think it is an amazing album that everybody needs to check out, that live album he did at Live at the Jazz Cafe. Yes. Oh my God. And Girl, Angie Stone, we giving you props, girl, because we don't do it, but we do
absolutely.
it here.
Absolutely.
Angie in the backgrounds, like all that, she deserves a lot of credit than what she don't get. So, you know, that and doing that, and then he had Writer's Block, and then we got Voodoo, and it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And
even some of the gems that ended up leaking later,
yes,
of him and Pino and Amir just jamming, like, you know, those we got, you know, the boom doo 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 doo, the boom doo 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 doo, like that joint. And like, you know, when they were kind of, you know, mimicking Premier's stuff, and they were, you know, even doing some of Pete Rock's interludes, that I think one of them even landed on Voodoo as an interlude. But you know, they're just jamming on familiar stuff, and then, you know, that would probably go and, you know, curve off into something of their own. You know, I know the story of them jamming on like Curtis Mayfield turning into, what was it? Was it One More Again? I can't remember.
Was it One More Again?
I can't remember. It was one of them. It was one of them joints.
It might, because One More Again definitely is Curtis Mayfield-ish. So it could be. It could be.
I'm probably flipping up information, but you know, just stuff like that, and you know, hearing, you know, we got to get a live look of Questlove, like having to reprogram his whole drum style, you know, to fit a certain album, to fit a certain feel. And now, you know, he's got these drunken sounding drums that he's getting from Dilla, you know, back then, after getting his mind blown by his Far Side shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's like the drummer who prides himself on being the human metronome, you know, which, you know, at that point he had to be, because it's like, you know, we weren't hearing live drummers in hip hop. So for him, it's like, for hip hop, I've got to be the drum machine. So I can't go off, period.
Yeah.
And then to be brought into the session, and D'Angelo's like, yo, nah, just you know, play drunk, and you know, lean it back a little bit, and it's foreign to Amir, and he's just got to like relearn and reprogram himself to play it. And I mean, he nailed it, because I mean, impact wise, well, I mean, to me, Dilla's impact on, you know, what ended up becoming, you know, neo soul or whatever is,
Right.
you know, forever infinite. You know, there's still people who are chasing that style right now.
Facts.
And that man has been dead for 15 years.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like that is you talking about iconic. And then to have that influence, you know, kind of be encapsulated by this album, this brilliant album of Voodoo.
Yeah.
I ran it again last night, and I was like, damn, I forgot how much I used to play this album. Because then, like, at the top of 2020, you know, my baseball career was starting to come to an end. And this album, Mama's Gun, Things Fall Apart, the Roots Come Alive album were like 4 albums that I studied.
Wow.
Because I'm like, you know, sounds like maybe something I might want to do. Another one was Fantastic Volume 2, of course, which came out in that summer. But you know, I studied those albums. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I definitely need a Rhodes. You know, I definitely need my drums to sound like this. You know, whenever I do a live show, I want it to sound just like Roots Come Alive. You know, I was really honed in, and like everything I did around that time sounded like all of that stuff. Which it was no accident. I was doing that shit on purpose, but you know, eventually it morphed into, you know, my own style. But like, you know, there are so many sons from this era of Soulquarian, you know, JD. Like, there's so many. It fathered so many different artists, you know, myself included, and its impact is forever. Like, it's forever. You know, these are the songs that, you know, that we hear all the time at open mics and all that stuff. Like, these are written into the black ass Library of Congress.
The black ass.
Like these
Yeah.
are our pillars, man.
That's real.
Yeah.
And then to think, like, for me, I'm like, with you doing being down with foreign exchange, I feel like you coming from that, I feel like foreign exchange kind of reminds me a little bit of the Soul Aquarians, just for me, because y'all just one family, and when y'all get together, y'all vibe. It's a vibe for real. Can't wait till this open so I can see y'all live for that. But it's like y'all jam, you know what I'm saying? And like the foreign exchange album, like the album you just released, you know what I'm saying? It's like y'all getting together and jamming. So when you hear Voodoo, you know James Poison, Dilla, and you know what I'm saying? All them, you know what I'm saying? Roy Hargrove, and all them dudes is like really just jamming on this album. Like it's a jam session. And that's what I feel like Voodoo is. And like you were saying, the songs that leaked afterwards that didn't make the album. Could you imagine? Like,
yeah.
I bet you we could probably get like 10, 20 more songs of what they did on Voodoo.
And that's what I like about the Soul Aquarians. It's like, you know, it seemed like they were friends making music.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like we are. Like we're, you know, myself, Fonte, Nicolay, like we're homeboys making music. We family making music. And we're able to pull, you know, from our pool of other friends to make music. And then, you know, no matter how long of a layoff we have, you know, we can still come back and still be on the same accord. And still, you know, except, you know, take it up a notch. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's how I feel. I definitely feel that way. And, you know, I'd kind of give them props and shoot, even before that, you know, just going back to Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? And just seeing what they did, what they were able to do. With, you know, they come together as a group, separate, we're gonna put out, you know, consistent albums, come back together as a group, and then, you know, that type of thing. I think that they really kind of mastered that.
Yeah.
Particularly with that first round of albums. Good gracious.
Yeah. Oh, woo.
Yeah.
And then the thing about the time period for Voodoo, I'm a recovering spoken word artist, and so this was this was such a big, you know, the whole, you know, for lack of a better word, neo soul, like that was the embodiment of that scene. So
very much so. Like the again, the drunken drums, you know, Cat on you know, hitting the rim shot, and you know, you just kind of going with it, like heavy bass groove, very much so spoken word, you know, ambiance, movement type of thing. Absolutely.
yeah.
Heard Voodoo in its entirety. What went through your mind? What was like?
I remember going to, and this very CD, this very joint. I was still in Kentucky. I was still at Western Kentucky, and Best Buy had just opened. I think maybe at the top of 2000, end of 1999. And so I went to that Best Buy and picked this joint up. And I remember getting home and running it in full. Same thing with Mama's Gun. I would get home and run it in full. And I was like, my mind was blown. I'm trying to think what caught me off first. The first one that caught me like that was The Line.
Come on, Raphael. Yes.
Because with that one, again, like it was Brown Sugar-ish, because it, you know, hard drums.
Yeah.
It was a definitive bass line, but there, you know, there was no changes. You know, just straight loop, just loop played live. He had the one little off part at the very end, the little bass part that went somewhere else, but everything else was locked in, and it's like 4 or 5 minutes of D'Angelo just kind of freestyling almost.
Yes.
You know, of course, the classic D'Angelo stacking his vocals a la Marvin Gaye, early 70s. Whereas it's like, you know, you see these, his vocals are literally moving.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And The Line caught me. Well, I'll get into my favorite later. I'll get into my favorites later. But yeah, the Line was the first to catch me, and I wore that song out.
Yeah, so I know for me, when I first got Voodoo, I know what caught me was Devil's Pie, because of the the scratches. And I already heard it from Belly already.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? But I was like, you know, this joint is dope. But then the line came on. And I was like, no, left and right.
Left and right.
Left and right is next. And then the line came. And I said, who is playing that guitar? It sounds like Raphael Sadiq, because I am a Raphael Sadiq head. Yep. So I was like, who is this? And again, I go read liner notes, and I saw that it was Raphael Sadiq. And I said, I knew it. I was like, I knew it. And from there, I just let the joint play. And I was like, wow, this is different. This is something different. And again, I will tell you, I'm a Brown Sugar head. It's my favorite. But I always say Voodoo is the best, because artistically, this album takes it's Brown Sugar times 10 to me. You know what I mean? Because again, I feel like D'Angelo was just coming into the game with Brown Sugar, and it was like he was doing what he thought was right. He had, you know, Angie Stone with him, you know what I'm saying? It was just him, his brother, and they was doing what felt right, and that was fine. You know what I mean? They're young, they're coming into the game, but Voodoo, you could tell he's in the pocket. Like you say,
he's doing him on Voodoo all
day in the pocket. And he's with Quest, and he's with, you know what I'm saying, Roy and James Poyser and Dilla, and they all together. And it's like, this is right. There's nothing wrong. You know what I mean? So from there, that my impact was like, whoa, something is happening here. That's what I was saying when I heard it.
Yeah. And one of the things that that came to my mind when I was first listening to Voodoo is it's dense, it's thick, like it's like you gotta get the big knife out to get through it. Like it's just it's so complex, and you hear different things, and you hear it one time and you're listening to the drums, and you listen again and you're like, these vocals, like this doesn't even make sense. Like it's
and that's one thing I love about Voodoo. Like it's sonically very pleasing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's very like analog, warm. The music looks like the color scheme of the album. Like it's like you said, it's thick. Like it's almost like a thick brownie. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's it's that. Like it's thick, and you know, it's chewy. There's a lot to deal with, and you know, just a lot of movement. I'm trying to think, for example, what should I go into my favorites? How about that? So like The Root. The Root is just like, I don't even know. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now. Number one, like everybody on this album blacked out. Like everybody blacked.
Yes.
Completely the fuck out. Like this was where I was kind of introduced to knowing who Spanky Alfred was. On that damn Send It On.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
That's JR's favorite.
Listen.
Now where were you when you realized that it was a replay of Sea of Tranquility?
Guess where I was at when I found So I was listening to that for the longest. So I was listening maybe about 3 years after I heard Voodoo. Mind you, I'm not thinking about Kool and the Gang at all. I'm not thinking about it. And the song comes on. And I said, wait a minute. Like I was just like, wait a minute. What? I know this from somewhere. Somebody used this. And I played and I said, I said, that's Send It On. I said, God damn it. It took me 3 years to realize that. And mind you, I don't understand why me reading liner notes, I didn't see it. But again, I'm just like, who played on it and who, you know what I mean? That was my focus. It was like, because again, Elise will tell you, I love the horn. I'm a horn dude. So I knew when Roy played on it, I was like, he killed those horns. Like, I was like, oh my God. And I guess I stopped there that day and didn't go back to the liner notes. So I was just like, forget it. But then when I heard Kool and the Gang, and I said, oh, that's Send It On. And I did it in front of my mom, actually, because we was listening to BLS, actually, in New York. And they played it. And I just went, And my mother was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, Ma, I just realized the sample and didn't realize. She was like, oh, my boy is getting great with hearing samples. I was like, yeah. So
and what's crazy is they made it even thicker than the original, which you know, that's another thing that I used to love that they did, because I mean, you hear it on Mama's Gun with, you know, Times of Wasting, and with I think it's Booty. Is it Booty?
Booty, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you hear with those things, and it's like, yo, they're taking these fusion classics and they're thickening them up even more. And it's like, man, now you conflicted, because it's like, you know, you always roll with the OG, but it's like, yo, these cats is really, they really killing that joint. You know what I mean? They did it with the Fela joint on his son's album.
With Water
the,
Getting,
Oh yeah.
Like that sounded great. That sounded great.
And that was kind of different, because a lot of time when people use samples, they thin it up, like they strip it. And he was like, nah, let's throw another 10-pound weight on there just because.
Yeah. Yes, like to, you know, present day, people are still chasing Roy Hargrove's flugel and trumpet sound from that album. Like I know I was when we did you know, like Sightseeing and I Love the Way, when we had horns and the way that, you know, I was mixing them and putting them in there, I was like, I was hearing that, because it's very full, it's a round, just warm, you know, makes you think of like reds, oranges, and yellows, you know what I mean? Like it's a warm tone.
Yeah, you can see this album, you can see the color, you can feel it. It's textured, like it's almost tangible.
Sightseeing need to be longer though. Sorry.
And you know what?
I knew that was coming.
We've been getting that all week, and I'll explain it some more. But I mean, I guess the Cliff Note version is, you know, when you have a story and you tell it, whatever time, that's what it is. Like we wanted to shout out our city, we shouted it out, and that's it. And I've been telling folks all week, like, yo, if you want a longer version, just hit the repeat button. Like, it's right there.
You're right. I know my Spotify is nuts right now, because I just live it. Boom. I need more than a minute and 27 seconds. That's sad that I know how many minutes it is, right?
Right. But it's cool, because I'm just like, you know, just listen to it in full. Like if you listen to Sightseeing by itself, it's probably too short. If you listen to Blackout by itself, it's probably too short. But in the context of the full album, like to me, it's the right length. Like, you know, we didn't want to drag Blackout out and turn it into a 5-minute joint. Like it's literally the bridge. I explain it as it's the flight you take from Detroit, from the ride, to the UK in I Love the Way. Like that Blackout is the flight.
Yes. Come on. Woo. No. Back to Voodoo, because we can go on your album all day.
Right, this is Voodoo talk.
Which we will. We're gonna get back to it though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite on Voodoo changes. It changes. Now, in the very beginning, when it came out, I was in love with Untitled. Like it felt like no ballad that I had ever heard before. Like it was just amazing. Yeah. And it didn't really have a structure. It just it didn't follow traditional song structure. And
it cuts off.
And it cuts off.
Yes.
I thought something was wrong with my shit the first time I heard it.
Yeah, just like
because it's already 7 minutes long.
Yeah. Ain't no end.
And then you still mad it cut off. So that shows you it don't matter if you have a minute and a half, and it don't matter if you have 7 minutes. When you just hit it, you just you don't want it to stop. You want to go forever.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think my favorite in the beginning was Send It On.
That's it.
I think my favorite in the beginning was Send It On, but now it's The Root and Spanish Joint.
Yeah, Spanish Joint is what it is today. I don't know tomorrow it'll be, but today is Spanish.
Spanish. I like Chicken Grease too, because it's such a jam. It's so funky, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me want to just go get some Crisco, like, for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that dope.
Could have easily sat in on.
Yes.
I can easily hear him, you know, coming in and jamming.
You can, and that's why I always try to tell people, as much as people try to put D'Angelo in like that Al Green and Marvin, he's Prince to me. Like, and Prince knew that. That's why he gave him his guitar, and you know what I'm saying? Like, he knew how much he was influenced. And if you listen to Voodoo, you could tell a lot. Like Untitled, you could tell that is a Prince joint. Like, you could tell Raphael and D'Angelo was in the studio probably vibing to Prince and probably just was like, yo, let's make something. They called it Untitled because they didn't even know what they wanted to call it. Like, you know what I mean? So you could tell like D'Angelo is so influenced by Prince. And if you want to know his influence, you definitely gonna hear it more on Voodoo, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Untitled was his Insatiable.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
I agree.
For sure.
For sure.
And that's probably even more why I loved it, because at that time I was very in my Prince bag, like of really learning more Prince. And so I think that familiarity was what, yeah.
And Chicken Grease was, well, this whole album was like producer heaven, because there's so many open drums on this album. Chicken Grease in particular, because I mean, you got the Chicken Grease snare with the snare and the elongated claps that turn into everything that you heard in, you know, between 2003 and 2005. Like, you know, right there was a Chicken Grease clap. Fiesta featuring Homeboy, that's a Chicken Grease clap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like this stuff was when I first you know, started making my own stuff and started learning how to sample drums on this very keyboard right here. You know, I was taking Chicken Grease claps. I was taking the little snare from the Roots. You know, that was my rim shot. I was taking I took the line, got an open snare. So like this was producers heaven. You know what I mean? We seeing all kinds of things just pop up, and they're very clean.
Yeah.
So you still hear, you know, you rarely hear them now, but like particularly between like 01 and 2010, like it was a decade. Like producers made Voodoo's life last a little bit longer. Just
that's true.
Taking Amir's drums and putting them in everything.
It's so crazy to me because I'm hearing a lot, like you said, and you listen to a lot of producers, and a lot of them during that time would be like Voodoo. You know, with me doing R&B bangers, there's a lot of these, you know, kids like the Roy, what's his name, Mac Ayers, and him, and what's the other guy? God, I can't think of his name. He's a new cat, but they was like, yo, when they heard Voodoo, they knew they wanted to be an artist. They wanted to be a producer. They wanted to do their own stuff when they heard Voodoo. And I was just like, just to hear a lot of producers be like, yo, we go to Voodoo for, you know, our inspiration. That was it. Like you just said, so we taking a drum from here. We taking the snares from there. We taking what freaking James Poyser did on the keyboard for Chicken Grease. Like we're doing that, you know what I'm saying? So like you said, that's why I think D'Angelo will always remain relevant, because people try to play him, and they try. If you just listen to a lot of production, you know that people are really taking Voodoo and making it their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think this was another reason. I mean, outside of the fact that, you know, of course, D'Angelo was, after the Untitled video, just went all the way sky high. And you know, him just kind of being, you know, just insecure with that type of attention, and, you know, wanted to keep it music and all that stuff. But like that 14-year layoff, I mean, it was still cool because it was like, you know, we heard Voodoo in so many different places and so many, you know, different ways. It's like, you know, he's gone, but he's still here, and he doesn't even, you know, he could still be at the crib and, you know, doing whatever. And then, you know, he comes back 14 years later and gives us another brilliant album. So, you know,
which is actually my favorite, because I love hearing the evolution of it. It's at the core, it's the same D'Angelo, but you can hear, just like you can hear a growth from Brown Sugar to Voodoo, and it's just with Black Messiah, it's just a grownness about it, and there's a I don't know, there's a polish, but not in a commercial way, but it's just it has a sheen to it, like almost like
experience.
Yes. And to see him do it live too, because to see him do Another Life, because he was on a tour with Mary and Melody Fiona, and this was before the album became.
That song just takes me out. That is actually my favorite D'Angelo song. Period. And it ain't even close.
No, that song was up. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, what the fuck?
A lot of people I talk to, they say the first time they heard it that they cried the first time and still crying the 100th time. Like
it gets you in your spine.
Yes.
That's one of
I
them.
was there in my old apartment, and when I heard it and I played it, and I was like I gasped for air. I was like, what is this? Like, I'm thinking, after somebody come back after 14 years, you like, okay, what are we gonna get? But when I heard that, I was like, damn, D'Angelo ain't skip a beat. Like he still didn't.
And also, like, I think between Another Life and like Sugar Daddy, those were our connectors back to Voodoo.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
it was.
Yes,
it was.
But that really hit us, the ones who was fans of Voodoo already. It's like, oh shit, here we go. And Another Life took it up to me.
Yeah, a lot of heads were saying on social media, they was like, a lot of people were seeing, because a lot of people wasn't connected to the album, but the ones that I saw, a lot of them were saying Sugar Daddy and Another Life. So when I met Elise, and Elise was like, Another Life is my favorite. I don't care what nobody said.
Yep. It's absolutely top 3 D'Angelo for me. 100%, no questions. No question there. But I'm biased on Spanish Joint, and this is why. I didn't get to see D'Angelo do the Voodoo tour.
No, me either.
But I saw him in, I think it was 15, in Chicago at the North Coast Festival.
Okay.
And the Roots had just gone off. They on this stage over here, and they just gone off. You walk 2 steps to the right, and it's the D'Angelo stage. So they getting ready to go in. Dude, when I tell you they did Spanish Joint, now, first of all, they had Joy singing background. They had Isaiah Sharkey. They had, I think they had Pino on bass. They had Jesse Johnson, and they had goddamn Chris Dave on drums, right? When they did Spanish Joint, when I tell you Chris Dave was locked, boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 and that shit dropping, boom, 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 boom. I was like, I quit music, nigga. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like, it was so crazy. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
And it made me like, I didn't think I could like Spanish Joint anymore. But like, it kicked that up to me another couple notches. And let's talk about how Charlie Hunter was blacking out on this album.
Listen. I thought you would go there when we talk about Spanish Joint and Booty, but I was like, I don't know if y'all gonna do it, but god damn it, he blacked out on this.
Yeah.
What?
Let's listen. Yeah, Spanish Joint lives rent free in my head. Like I was telling bro before the show, like, I make a lot of playlists, and I went and looked, and I had put Spanish Joint on 4 different playlists, and they were all the first song. Like, it wasn't even like further down. Nope. I was like, okay, let me switch some of these out.
Wow.
And the thing about those 2 songs, like Spanish Joint and The Root, is like, you would think that Spanish Joint could just ride out as a, just that loop, but you got the changes, and then he's adding the horns on top, and like, come on, and then then it modulates up, and then it's like, yo, man, like, what are you doing right now?
Like, you knew they were all jamming in that studio. The Spanish Joint was a joint they were all jamming, because everybody's on it. You got Roy, you got Q, you got Charlie Hunter and D'Angelo. Like,
percussion player,
playing the
Hidalgo.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, yo, this is nutty, man. Like, you know, and I'm not the dude that where I'm like, you know, I wish I could be in on a session, because I think being in studio just watching people make music is boring. Unless I'm actually doing something, I think
that's that.
Like, this is one of them joints where I'm just like, yo, like I just want to be here and see what the fuck was going on with because this is nutty, man. And you know, the root, same thing. It's like when it goes into that hook and it's just like, you know, shit just opens up. But it's so simple. Like it's a simple change, but it's like,
yes. And then it comes after each other. It don't even give you a break though. You know what I'm saying? Like you coming out of one more gin, then you're going into the root, then you're going into Spanish joint, and then you slow it down with feel like
yeah. And you would think Untitled would close the album, but then they hit you over the head again with another one of my favorites, that goddamn Africa.
Yes, God.
Yeah. Look here. Look.
Let's go. And using them Prince drums or I Wonder You. I'm sorry.
And I absolutely, after hearing Africa, I absolutely, because I keep a snare drum in here just for different layering and textures and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I absolutely made a joint with the open snare after that. I don't think it made anything, but I absolutely made a joint after that. It was like, yo, I gotta do, nigga, are you?
It's like you don't want the album to end. That's what I miss with bodies of work like now. You know what I mean? Unlike y'all, on FE and you know, none of y'all make bodies of work. But we talk about like other people don't understand the essence of bodies of work. And it's like, yo, you don't want an album to end. You be like, you know, when you know what I'm saying, you know it's at Africa, you like, oh, we almost done. We almost done. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn it, man. Like, why? Like, this is like so unfair.
We talked about that with the Friends album. It's like when you get to what's the name? What's the last song of Friends?
Shit.
It's almost like a downer because it's like, damn, this is, and it feels like an ending, it feels like the ending song.
Yes,
so,
yes.
The album almost over. We got about 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. Is it Can I Make You Feel Good?
Yes, I Can Make You Feel Good. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
I remember like as a kid, like hearing that, and I'm like, oh damn, man, now we got to start the joint over. I got to take the needle.
It's like, is that the end?
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
And these songs on Voodoo ain't short.
No,
you know
they're not at
like,
all.
It ain't no song less than 5 minutes, and I think it's Devil's Pie. That's the shortest record on the album, to be honest. So I'm like, you're getting over an hour of great music. You don't want it to end. That just shows how dope this album is. You know what I mean?
Like this album is so crazy that Left and Right probably could have been left off.
That's what when we were talking about the other day, I said the same thing.
Yeah, because we was like, you see, they tried to go with that because Right Sis, wasn't that the first single?
Yeah, Devil's Pie and Left and Right were the first two singles.
And you could tell why
they didn't do nothing.
It didn't do nothing because you could tell what they were trying to do. They were trying to connect to that hip hop lane. Because hip
hop was king. And so they took a stab at it, but that's not what they wanted from D'Angelo. Not in that way.
Right. And then
not so blatant. Yeah.
And it's so crazy because Untitled was the B-side to Left and Right. So then when Untitled hit, they made it an A-side. It's just like, I think about that all the time, like with Stevie, with like, Hey Love. It was a B-side, but once a DJ turned it over and was like, nope, we like that, and it blew up, they made it an A-side, and it just blew up. And that's what made Voodoo kind of blow up. It was like, okay, Untitled come out, this is what we want to hear from D'Angelo. Boom. And
then he did the video, and he did the video, and it was over. So
it was over, and that sucks that it had to go down like that because D'Angelo was all about the music, and I know he put in this magazine that he did in like in 2011 when they interviewed him. And he said, I took my shirt off in the beginning of the show, so I wouldn't have to. So now you got my shirt off. It's all about the music. No, they wanted more. And after a while, it was like, that's too much.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. It's exhausting. He's a musician. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, like, y'all are worrying about this image in the video rather than listening to the music. Y'all hearing that guitar that Raphael is playing on here? Y'all hearing what we doing musically, but y'all focus on me being naked in a video. Like, and y'all coming to see me and y'all want to rip my shirt off and do all this. And I'm playing all the instruments on the stage and y'all not focused on that. So it sucked how that had to go down. And could you imagine if it didn't, how things would have been?
Because I mean, really after that, we heard him on what, Be Here?
Yeah.
He was on, you know, a couple things here and there, like the Roy Hargrove, the Hargroove album.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll Stay remake. But like, we really wasn't getting a lot. It was, you know, D'Angelo, you know, disregarding his body at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, just, you know, just eating whatever, just, you know, and it was just like, yo, this was kind of him rebelling against what you just talked about.
With the machine, yeah.
And during that gap, he would just show up at clubs and do little secret, like for a second, like kind of just show up, and so that was all you was gonna get.
He was like a Prince, to be honest, because you know Prince like that. He like to just sneak in somewhere and hey, go into a club and just start playing. That was him. Like he wasn't with this industry foolery.
Yeah, show up in your backstage and shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like just like yo walking back there. You know what I'm saying? And some of these Princes at your show, like
right,
just came to say what's up. Nigga, you Prince? Like you saying what's up? Like.
Right, eat all the food. I don't give a damn. You probably already did.
Yeah, like. Oh, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my God. But yeah, this album is amazing. Like this album is artistically amazing, and just to hear a producer like yourself realizing that this is had such an impact on you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and being a fan of yours since 2008, I can hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like that's why I told Elise, I was like, he's gonna pick Voodoo. I know it. Like you can hear it in his production, that the inspiration behind it. That's why I was like, man, them other albums ain't even gonna see nothing with Zoe. He going with Voodoo.
Yeah, no, it was either gonna be that or Mama's Gun. I think those had the most impact on me. I remember hearing Mama's Gun for the first time.
Oh
and
my God.
I got to I think it was AD 9000, and I called one of my homegirls. I was like, yo, you got to get this shit right now. I think that was like, what, track 9? I was like, yo, you got to get this shit right now. I hadn't even gotten to Times of Wasting yet, which, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, this is dope. And then it goes into the change. And I'm like, you can't see, but goosebumps are forming right now.
Oh
and
my God.
It's crazy now, you know, reading the liner notes on Mama's Gun and seeing how many of my people now were part of that album.
Yeah.
You know, Gino Young and Yazara.
Yeah.
And, Gino Aguilar, my man Lock Johnson, and Sean Martin, and you know, these guys who, you know, we play with when we go to Dallas. You know, that these are people who are part of our band and things like that. So it's like, it's so crazy, you know, seeing even their evolution and, you know, seeing what they're doing now, and like the influence that it had on them, and you know, their creativity and all that kind of stuff. So it's that whole era, I swear, like between the stuff that was coming out between like 98 and maybe 02, everything starting from like Adriana Evans to like, you know, this Soul Aquarius.
Oh my God, you done messed something up. Oh,
Lord. Come on now. We could have did one on that album.
Yo, because I got him the Sin, my brother Sin. I got him the vinyl, because it's hard to find that joint.
I know.
It's hard to find any Adriana Evans, because I have a 12 of Seeing is Believing, and I have something, I can't think of the other one I have, but they were it was hard for me to find those, and those are just 12s.
And I know he had just finished his album that he did, and I was like, yo, I want to get him some, and I found it. and like he lost it, and I liked, you know what I'm saying, I liked the album, but I wasn't into it like that. And finally he was like, bruh, just listen, Dred Scott is nothing to play with. Like he like, yo, just listen to this. And when I listened, I was like, wow, because I knew seeing is believing because I heard that on the radio. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But
Love Is All Around.
And Evans out there, whoa,
yeah, man.
Whoa.
That was one of them joints that was back when I was in my big Source magazine days, where I, you know, you get in there, you see the mics, and it's like, you know, that's becomes your shopping list.
Yes.
And I remember, you know, that first album was on Loud Records, so
yeah,
it landed in the Source, and the Source kind of trashed it. I think it was like they gave it like 2.5 or 3 mics or something crazy like that. And you know, my thinking was, I'm like, well, this is an R&B album. The Source might not know what they
got.
Yeah. So because it was Loud Records, I went and bought it anyway. And that album got me through summer of '98, period. Like I love Adriana Evans. Like it was a point.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, like I was playing her self-titled album more than anything, more than Baduism, more than Erica's live album, anything, more than anything hip hop. Like that, I was running that shit top to pretty much top to bottom.
Yeah, one of her later songs, I can't think of what album it's on, that I love, Distant Lady. Like she did a little thing there. That was I can listen to that like 10 times in a row. Like it gives me chills.
She was still working with Dred, right? Like he was still doing everything. Yeah. But like anything from like Adriana stuff to, you know, the Badu stuff, Mama's Gun, to, you know, Glenn Lewis, to Floetry, you know, anything that Soul Aquarius was touching, anything that Touch of Jazz was touching.
Ooh, Touch of Jazz, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like that Glenn Lewis album is nothing to play with.
No, it isn't.
At all. I don't love that album.
And I knew
really?
She don't. She's not at all. Me and her had this discussion.
Yeah, no, that album.
Like, no, I was like, what are you? And she was like, Elisa is, I didn't connect to it.
Yeah, it's not. No,
and that makes sense.
I don't think it's bad. I don't connect to it. It's a lot of stuff. I was like, I don't think it's bad. It just didn't do it for me. But I get it why people love it though. Yeah. You
know, another album that I liked around that time was John B's Pleasures You Like. I ran that album too.
Look.
I'm walking out again. Are you serious?
Yeah. We talk about that album a lot.
Get better and better and better. Every album he like this one and this one. Like Pleasure You Like, people do not talk about that. And our homegirl, Midnight, just interviewed him.
Word.
For the 20th anniversary of that album, and them two went in. That album is amazing.
I love that album.
Amazing.
I love that album. He had the joint with Faith on there. The Boy's Not a Man. And that was that with Faith? Or was
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the
title track is dope.
Overjoyed.
Yes.
Overjoyed. It was Overjoyed. Then All I Wanted You with Cuban Link, like Lonely Girl. I'm going. Wait.
Yeah, Lonely Girl. That's my.
The title track was crazy.
Yes. And he was getting his little Michael on, and he said in the interview he was on his artistic vibe on that album. Like he wanted to be the musician, the songwriter, all that, and you can tell with that album. It's like, yeah, John B was in his bag on this one.
And that carried over into Jack Herrera.
Yes.
And one thing I liked about and that's our friend Midnight R&B Edition, about the interview she did with John B, that the people that he shouted out as his influences. So he taught about a D'Angelo. He talked about Intro was a big.
Yes.
He said that was a huge one for him. So I love that he, referenced those people as influences for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of sense now that I'm thinking about that. That makes a whole lot of sense. His choice.
Don't it? Once I heard it in the interview, I was like, yeah, I get it. It makes a lot of sense, because it was like you would never think, but with him saying it, it's like, I get it. Okay.
I think that era really helped shape me as a musician, because that was the time that I was becoming serious about being a musician. A lot of the Dilla remixes that he was doing, like the one he did for Lucy Pearl, the Without You remix, fucking crazy. The SpaceX Eve remix that he did was huge influence on me, because again, like at that point, I had never heard anything like that, even from him. You know, the way he programmed he probably didn't even program the hi-hats. He sounded like he just played them. You know, I would do that for albums to come. You know, just taking the hi-hats, like, man, I'm just gonna play this shit, and it's just gonna, you know, it's gonna have a feel,
Right.
you know, because of that song. So a lot of the music, you know, that helped kind of birth me as an artist was coming out of that era, you know, and again, like I was taking my cues from hip hop and going to dig for R&B, because I'm just like, you know, the radio was off. I was in Kentucky, so it wasn't no black radio.
Right.
So I'm like, I've got to go find what I need, and I would. And
Yeah.
I tried to put my classmates on, but they wasn't trying to hear me. They trying to hear me now.
Oh, you know it.
When we grown.
Oh,
And,
we always loved him. Okay.
no, you didn't, nigga. So
I love seeing that too, like on my Facebook sometimes, and I be with people I went to high school with, and they be like, "Oh, I love this." I be like, "Nigga, you lying." Because when I'm talking about that shit in high school, y'all looking at me like I'm stupid. Like, we ain't rocking with that. Oh, now you love it. I got it.
We done did some living. Them lyrics are starting to hit a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you know, we ain't all trying to club no more because we can't even stay up. So yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Give me a bottle. I'm staying home. I can sleep on my couch. How about that?
Yep.
At least no, shoot, I'll be gone.
Yeah, it's all connected now. It's all connected now.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So now we're gonna hop into our little, you know, my favorite part, the song association, word association.
Oh boy.
And this one is all gonna be people that were involved in Brown Sugar and Voodoo.
Okay.
And you give me a song or a word or a story, whatever, to go with each one. All right.
Let's try it.
All right, let's do this. First, we are gonna go Roy Hargrove.
Oh, shit, I know it's a word association. I'm getting ready to start talking.
No, that's fine. That's
Do
fine.
what you do. Brian did.
Just warm tone, just super warm tone, excellent choices as a musician. You know, he's a guy who, you know, we'd all listen to solo, and it just, you know, he take you places where it's just like you're expecting it to go left and he just goes right and he goes right again. And it all makes sense. Super huge loss too.
Yeah.
Super huge loss. But when I think of Roy, I will always think of like his tone and how, you know, we all as musicians and artists are still trying to chase that warm, wide sound that he was able to produce over and over again.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I love going back listening to, you know, the RH Factor stuff and all that. Like it's.
And I'm just the biggest fan of him because of the horns. I'm a horn dude, so anything he play, I'll be like, yes, I need more. So it was such a, you know, it sucked when we lost him for real. But he has an impact for sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. DJ Premier.
Oh man. Behind Dilla, he's my second favorite hip hop producer.
Okay.
Yeah. Dilla's the GOAT. Dilla's the GOAT. Primo is number 2 for me. And it's like, it's really close because there was a time between 94 and 99, where it was like, if Primo's name is on it, I'm buying it.
I'm in there.
Yeah.
Like he was doing no wrong. You know, from Hard to Earn to stuff he was doing with KRS, stuff he was doing, you know, Moment of Truth, like just like I remember hearing Moment of Truth and having to pull my car over when I heard Royalty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Even, you know, doing stuff for cats like Devin the Dude, you know, Dewey Ashtray. Like that shit is crazy to me. And he's still doing it. And I haven't met him yet. But I know, you know, he and Fonte have worked together on like the breaks and stuff like that. And I've always heard that he's just a cool, humble cat. But yeah, he's definitely tops for me.
Yeah, same for me. I actually probably be one of the biggest gangstar heads you will ever meet in your lifetime. It's serious. Like,
and I'm talking about the way that his music fit Guru's voice.
Yes, because a lot of people don't understand Guru's voice. People kind of shit on his voice, which I don't understand.
I think he has one of the top 5 voices.
Mellow, it's so smooth to me. But him and Premier together, explosive.
Yeah. It's just like P Rock and CL, like they're hand in glove, like very, very much so.
Oh,
like, you know, you hear CL on different stuff, and it's like, yeah, but that CL P Rock marriage is something. That's something different.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. James Poyser.
Oh man, he's a hero to me. And it was crazy because he and I finally met. We met, I think, 3 years ago. So, you know, we follow each other on Twitter and whatever. But I mean, you know, that don't really carry a lot of weight. And so I was in New Orleans. We were down there to play a party for Queen Sugar that the couple of guys from Queen Sugar had thrown, and we're down there. And the same time we're down there was I think it was the Jazz Festival week or time or whatever. So walking around downtown and going to the Ace Hotel, which is, you know, a place that one of my homegirls used to work. And you know, I was like, shit, let's see what's popping in there. So we walk up in there, and there's Amir just at the door. And I hadn't seen Amir since we did the Purple Flip joint back in like 2009. So we catching up, we blah, blah, blah. I was like, yo, man, is Tariq around? Like, blah, blah, blah. Cause I hadn't seen him in some years. So he was like, nah, he ain't around. So I go into the room where, you know, where they have shows and stuff. Like we've actually performed at the Ace Hotel, and it's Amp Fiddler and Jeremy Ellis doing a set. So I'm like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Like it's Detroit all in here. So walk in there, like the room is just, it's cool. Like it's kind of half empty, and they're doing like just some MPC keyboard stuff. Amp comes off the stage and we hug and shit. And you know, I feel this tap on my shoulder, and I turn around and it's fucking James Poyser.
Wow.
And I'm like, yo, like what the like I didn't even know he knew who I was like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
hot out here, Zo.
I had no idea. And so we dap up. It's all cool. Like I'm trying not to fan the fuck out, you know, because of songs like, you know, Love of My Own by Eric Benet. You know what I'm saying? Other Side of the Game, you know what I mean? Just little minor songs. Yeah, little minor songs here and there that ain't had no influence on me. You know what I mean? So, and so, you know, we take this picture. I still got the picture, and it was really, really cool, man. He was real cool cat. You know, we often interact on social media. So it's, you know, really cool guy. But like I said, one of my heroes, one of my keyboard heroes, because I'm like, you know, he's done things on keys to where I'm like, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to take music. That's how I want to make people feel with my music. I want people to feel like, you know, first time I heard Other Side of the Game, which fucking blew my mind. You know, first time I heard Love of My Own, and still hear Love of My Own. Shout out to Victor Duplay too on that. But like, I want people to feel this way.
You need to put some respect on that Eric Benet, because enough people don't talk about that that project.
No, they do not. No,
That's
they do not.
You and JR know I go hard for Eric. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes.
They went in. They went in on that joint, and they went on that Ride soundtrack too.
Forgot about that.
Damn it, man. Me too.
That Wide joint,
Yes.
that was my shit. And Adriana Evans was on there too with Fight Dog. That was my shit.
She was. Yes, she was.
Ali Shaheed.
I ain't thought about that in forever.
Yo, you gonna make me listen to this.
Yeah, now you got to, man. Them joints gonna take you right back to '98. Only two things in life to take you right back to somewhere is music and synth.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So you fucked me up just now.
yeah. You gotta run them. You gotta run that ride.
Yes. Oh my God. Woo.
Right. Raphael Sadiq.
He's another one. Like, when I think of Raphael, I think about his baseline choices. Really, really simple, but really poignant. Lady being one example, and I think there's a video of Thundercat talking about this, where he was pulled onto a gig, called for a gig, and he had to play Lady. I don't know if I guess it was Raphael. I guess it was just Raphael Sadiq solo, maybe. I'm not sure. But he was like, I'm playing, all these little ghost notes and, boom, you know what I mean? And he's adding, his little sauce on it. And he was like, nah, that ain't it. It's literally just boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? And it's simplicity, but it's pocket. And it's, it gives me confidence as a bass player because, I'm not a Thundercat who can just go up and down the neck and do all that stuff, which is just fucking nuts. But I feel like my gift as a bass player is pocket and feel. And I think that's what Raphael brings to it when he does like a Lady or when he does Untitled. It's a feel that he brings, and feel over everything on music. Feel over everything, because that's what's gonna make you remember it. Like you can do all the gymnastics and you can all the tricks and all that stuff. I mean, is that gonna connect? Maybe. Is it gonna go over a lot of people's heads? Maybe. Some people may fuck with it. But if you got some shit that feels good, folks are gonna return to that every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel about being a writer. It's like, yeah, I can give you the fanciest of sentences, okay? Like, if you need that, I got you. However, the beauty is when I take 10 words and you read a whole book, but you go back to that one sentence. That's how I feel about music.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what Raphael did for me, because that's why I was smiling the whole time when you talking about it, because Raphael is my top 5 producers of all time. So for me, when I heard him on, when he was with Tony, and I heard that he was playing these bass lines, and I'm like, yo, who is this guy? Like, this is what I'm hearing. That's why the Sons of Soul is so important to me, because that's when I started looking at liner notes saying, oh, Raphael is playing this. Raphael is playing this. I'm like, wow. And like you said, I'm an emotional listener. That's me. And when Raphael plays, you feel it. It's something that just comes over you like, yo, he making me go back there. Like, that's why I said the way I see it, that I would have wanted to be there in the studio with him when he made that, because the feeling of that album to me is very Motown-ish, but I just feel it. And I just want to be like, Raphael, where was your head when you did this? Like, I'm getting, like you said, Joe, I'm getting chills right now just talking about it, because it's like, yo, that feeling that he puts into his music musically is just everything. So the way you broke that down, that's why I was just like smiling the whole time. I know you looking at me like, why the hell he showing all this? Like, what the hell?
Was that the album We're Never Gonna Give You Up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh God. Damn, I'm gonna have a couple of albums to play after this show.
That song's crazy. I remember when that song came out and everybody thought it was Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah.
All right. And last and never ever the least, Jay Dilla.
Oh my God.
We had to save that one for last.
I was about to say how much time. Let me see how much time we got. Okay.
That was on purpose.
Nah, Jay is the GOAT. He's the GOAT to me. And you know, for a long time, I just wouldn't say who was the greatest producer. I would always say, you know, for me coming up, it was Primo, Pete Rock, JD. And I never would put them in any order and all this stuff. Yeah. But you know, I had a talk, me and Fonte, you know, we get in our talk. We have our longest talks probably starting at midnight, right? So we got on the phone one night and we were breaking down why Dilla is the greatest. And this is why Dilla is the greatest. Because Dilla had an answer for everybody. And what I mean by that is he had an answer for Premier in, like, you know, Dedication to the Suckers by Fat Cat. He had an answer for Pete Rock in, like, Rock Box for QD. Yeah. He had an answer for, you know, the Neptunes by doing stuff for Frank and Dank on, like, 48 hours, you know, Take Them Clothes Off, stuff like that. So he had an answer for everybody. And we were talking about it, and it was like, yo, you know, was it a thing where with the Uma, where it's like we hear this guy and, you know, he's so great or he's so talented, where it's just like we have to embrace him before he starts taking niggas lunches? Or is it like, like what is it? You know what I mean? And that's no diss on Q-Tip. Is one of the greatest, period. But it's just like, you know, this dude is so otherworldly with his shit and how he hears music and then regurgitates it back out. It's like, you know, we're still finding samples from Dilla because they're so just, you know, just flipped up and layered and filtered. And then he's taking stuff, you know, I was talking to YG last year and he's telling me how he used to do his bass lines, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And this is, you know, this is 15 years after he can't do anything. You know what I mean? He's been gone since 2006. So it's like, you know, we're still discovering different nuances from Dilla, and people are still trying to copy him in 2021, which is fucking crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, you can still come out with an album of Dilla material and it still sounds fresh in present day. But this guy's, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He has a whole album, which, you know, I thought I was going to open up the Voodoo liner notes and see his name all in it, and it's not, because he influenced it. That's fucking nuts.
And what's great, I love Dilla's ear, because when he sampled, a lot of things that he sampled are samples that have been, are songs that have been sampled for a lot of things, but he take the least obvious part of the song and just a piece, and you just not, and you're like, oh my God. And that's why a lot of times you don't even realize where the sample is from until you just have one of those days where you just kind of deep listening to stuff, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's what he did for, like, Give It Up on Welcome to Detroit, where he just his Pride and Vanity. We've heard Pride and Vanity 50 million times, but we ain't heard it like that.
No.
And he's chopping it up over Joe Tex drums, and it's like, yo, word? Like, and then we just, oh, come on, man. Yeah, he's the greatest. And it, you know, it's so much pride in, you know, when I would go back home during Christmas break, because that's pretty much all we had. I think we had just Christmas break.
Oh man.
Baseball player. We had no spring break. That was
man.
So we go back home, Christmas break, and, you know, I just hit up one of my boys, be like, what do I need to get? Like, what am I missing? Like, yo, you need to check out JD. He from here. And he did, you know, all the stuff on Far Side, all the stuff on De La, you know, this and this and that. And I'm looking in, again, the booklet, and I'm like, oh, he done did all my favorite joints on Far Side. He done did Bullshit, and he done did, you know, Something That Means Something. And, you know, that, you know, I'm like, yo, this is fucking crazy. And Stakes Is High. And, you know, you listen to Stakes Is High, and you notice that he's playing the kick drum all through the joint, because the kick drum does not repeat the fucking pattern at all.
Nah, it doesn't.
Through the whole joint. And I didn't even notice until a friend of mine at home who's a drummer, my man Tate at the crib, and he was like, yo, he's having to learn it to play it. And he's like, there's no similar kick drum. The kick drum is different each bar. I was like,
wow. Wow.
And who does that? Nobody.
Nope.
he's
Nobody.
the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Yes. All right. So now let's talk about this new album, sir.
Yes.
Love the way, love the way, love the way, I love the way you
Yes. Can we talk about how you and Tall guy got together and all that? Yes, please.
We'd always been fans of each other. Like I first heard of Tall Black back in I think 2012. A friend of mine played me Faster Than the Speed of Light by Mario and Malice Sweet. I think I'm saying her name right. I think it's Malice or Malice Sweet. And he did it. And it was like one of them joints where I'm like, damn, I wish I'd have did that. Like that's a drum pattern that I think I would have done. And it was crazy. And then, you know, he popped up again off of the This Could Be the Night remix in 13. And, you know, he and I would communicate every now and then. I think at the time he was living overseas in the UK. And, you know, we, you know, hit each other every once in a while. And then fast forward to like 17, we finally met in person here in the DC area. And couple years after that, in 19, like, you know, I was having some issues, like just some personal issues, and you know, it was becoming difficult for me to create. You know, a lot of stuff that I was creating was, seeming to like plateau. You know, it wasn't really moving the needle on anything. You know, I sent it to Tay, and he'd be like, "Yeah, this is cool, but you know, blah blah blah." I sent it again, "Yeah, this," you know, and I was like, I wasn't getting the normal response from him. So
Yeah.
he was like, yo, man, he was like, why don't you like collaborate with somebody? Or, you know, Tall Black, like he's in the area at the time. We lived like 20 minutes from each other. And so I was like, cool, I'll hit him up. So I hit him up. Was like, yo, man, what you think about getting in the studio or whatever? And he was like, bet. Like literally 2 days later, we were in here, and the first joint we made was fucking crazy. And it was kind of like, nigga, why we ain't do this shit in 13? And, you know, basically from there, like we started getting together like every other week. And we would just get up, make stuff. And then, you know, I'd have to pick up my daughter, or he'd have to pick up, you know, his girl, or, you know, whatever. Like we usually end at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And, you know, after a while, we just had a folder full of joints. And it was like, yo, man, you know, we need to do, you know, this out. Like, why don't we just do an album? So we started, you know, pulling people and seeing what was what, and the album just started getting crazier. We pretty much worked in here in person all the way up until they was getting ready to shut shit down for the pandemic. And thankfully, those last few days, we documented. So my man, Donnie Seals, who did the Making Skybreak documentary,
yeah,
drove out here to Silver Spring from Chicago and set up shop and recorded us for 3 days straight as we recorded. So like he recorded, he ended up capturing, talking to myself top to bottom. You know, we did that one. What else did we do? That I think he may have gotten some of Connected, you know, just stuff like that. And it's like, you know, we were recording every now and then, but it's like, you know, after a while, it's like, yo, them little memory cards get expensive, man. So, you know, I'm glad that he was here, especially talking to myself, because, you know, he's showing us footage of it, and you know, both of us was like, I don't even remember doing that. And, you know, which kind of speaks to, you know, just the fact it's like, you know, when you in here and you just zoned out and you're just focused, you know, on that. And I was like, yo, I don't even remember you taking that angle. And it's just because you're just you're in this place where you're hearing music and you're hearing ideas, and the camera don't mean nothing. And, you know, it's just at that point, that's Donnie's dream to be, you know, to be documenting this stuff to where it's just like, I'm not even in the room and they're just doing what they do. And, you know, I have it all captured. So we're going to start kind of releasing some of that footage here within the next month or so. And it's going to be fun, man. Cause you know, I think that this is my best effort to the, you know, to date. And you know, like I said, you know, just off camera, like, you know, I think that this is just the beginning, because he and I, you know, kind of hit a stride, and you know, we know how each other works. And you know, he's now in Cleveland working on a project there. But you know, after that, you know, we still got plans to continue getting up and to continue making music and, you know, making folks feel good. Because I mean, the reception for Abstractions so far has been incredible. And you know, my mother listened to it. You know, I had to burn her CD and send it back to the crib. Moms ain't on Spotify, no shit.
That's so cute. That's so cute.
And so, you know, she's texting me and it's like in all caps. I'm like, she's like, oh man, I see why everybody's going crazy over this music, and you know, this is beautiful. And I'm like, man, this is fucking crazy, man. So
yes,
you know, just to get that, you know, that type of response from home again, you know, mom's is 70, so it's like, you know, she listens to music differently.
Yeah.
You know, because she's heard it from, you know, different
Heard
places.
it all. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it was fresh. So, you know, to get it from her perspective and other people who are in that same age bracket, like, you know, that's an even more higher compliment to me, just because it's like, shit, you know, we've seen Marvin and we've seen Stevie when he was you know, your daughter's age, and we've seen BB King and all these icons, and them to hear Abstractions and be like, yo, this is fucking incredible. It's like, oh damn, word. So, you know, but yeah, so you know, it's good, because I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel like you know, making music is fun again, and you know,
can hear it.
Yeah. Like I'm hoping that it permeates through the music.
Oh, it absolutely does.
So before I even listened to the whole album, and I was just reading, you know, who was on it, and I was like, they got Omar. Let me tell you, that's my guy. Like, oh, I was like, they got Omar on the record. I'm sold already. Like,
yeah. And it was dope
because Omar don't be involved in no junk. So
exactly, like, and I don't see Omar featured on a lot of stuff.
No.
And Omar's cool. Like I met Omar in 17, and then again in 18, and at the iLive Music Festival in Toronto. We were, you know, both on that show, and you know, we met, and he's like, yo, I'm a huge fan. And I'm like, what? Like, nigga, what? Who are you talking to? And it was just cool. So, you know, we exchanged information. I think I ended up running into him again. I had a Forefront listening party in Brooklyn, and it turns out like he was around the corner. It was the weirdest thing. So he came by, he kicked it, and you know, when me and Tall Black made that joint, the music for that song, we was like, yo, this is Omar all day long.
Oh, so y'all already heard him.
Yeah, period. Okay. This is it. And the crazy thing was he was in town to play DC's City Winery.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember, because he had to cancel some shows, and then but he can't postpone, I should say, and then he did. Yeah, I remember that. Right.
Yeah, because he hadn't been in the States in like 10 years. So Tall Black and his girl, they went to the show that night, and I think he approached him about it then, and you know, we ended up hitting him via email, and he was like, send it. So we sent it through. He took care of it, and the thing I like about that joint is he was very, very Omar.
Yes. And yo, folks, if you don't follow him like on Instagram, you should, because he'll just jump on live and just start making music, like live. And so I when I see Omar's going live, like, It's
Yeah.
really dope to see
You know,
his process.
Yeah, like he's a legend. He's a legend. He's been doing this for, you know, he's been in the public for 30 years. You know what I mean? So, you know, same with Josh Milan. Like these guys are legends. These are OGs. And, you know, with Josh, I met him on the Capitol Jazz cruise, and, you know, found out that we were mutual fans of each other. And, you know, he's just a cool ass cat. And so, you know, we kicked it. I think we exchanged information the first day. And you know, when we did the music for Connected, same thing. It was like, yo, I can hear Josh on this. Like this is his wheelhouse. And I remember, you know, texting him on the spot, like, yo, got this joint, man. He was like, send it through. He listened. He was like, oh yeah, I'm about to murder this. I was like, hell yeah. So, you know, yeah, that was one of them ones where, you know, it was like a 7-minute song. I think we cut it to like 6:50. But you know, we wanted to let him go. We wanted to let him do his thing. You know, house records are not 3 minutes. So, you know, we wanted to let that joint ride out, have different breakdowns, different peaks and valleys. So yeah, it was a fun project, especially bringing Fonte together again with Darian.
Darian.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Oh my God, when I heard it, I lost it. Like, cause you went on, was like, yo, we coming out with another single. I'm like, all right, cool. And when I saw Darren, and I was like, Fonte too. I was like, what is going on? Yo, I was like, Zoe and Tall, that guy is not playing with us. Like, I was like, yo, I lost it. Like, as you know, when I was jamming to it with my red cup, and I had to post.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I was like, yo, this is it. Like, I wish, and I mean, Fonte could have gave us a 16. I mean, for real. But I'm asking for too much. But he could have. But no, the song. That's why I was like, yo, was y'all all together when y'all did it, or no? It feels that way. It definitely does.
That song was like the third song me and Tall Black ever did.
Wow.
So like, you know, when we first got together, we did the one joint, and it was like, yo, this is fucking crazy. I think we did something in between there, and then we did this one, and we had originally titled it Woodward Avenue, Woodward Ave, which is, you know, it just sounded like some pimp shit. Like it sounded like some, you know, just some slow drag, just, you know, Lincoln Continental, Mark 7.
I really missed Darian's voice. Like I just missed it so much.
I did too. And it was crazy when he was on Little Brother's album, and I played on that one, on those joints too, you know, from Knots. And I remember sending my parts over to Fonte, and then a couple of days later he hit me up like, yo, check your email, you're gonna want to call me. And I was like, okay. So I checked it. I think it was the Right on Time joint. Checked it. And then it got to the hook. I was like, nigga, is that who I think it is? And so I called him. I was like, yo, I said, where you find my nigga? Blah, blah, blah. And it turned like they was on speakerphone. Turns out Darian was right there with him. So it was real cool, man. So, you know, from that, and then, you know, hearing him just in his natural element.
Yes.
And, you know, setting the song off to where, you know, you ain't even got to wait to hear him. And, you know, the three of them haven't been together on a song since Leave It All Behind.
Leave It All Behind. Yeah.
So it was a nice reunion, I guess, so to speak. But yeah, real dope.
And then Northland. I didn't know about, you know what I'm saying, because I'm not from Detroit. So I wouldn't know. So of course, I hit our brother Sid, and he was like, yo, when y'all talk to Zoe, tell him that, yo, thank you for this song, because he got so many memories at that mall. He was like, yo, before it became hood. Like,
yeah, man. Northland used to be the spot.
Yeah.
It was Northland, or you know, you go down Southfield Freeway and there's Fairlane. Down in Dearborn, it was one of them two spots. Northland used to have Music Land. And that's where I used to go get all my music from.
Nice.
So that's where, you know, I think I remember getting like K Solo first album, DOC album. Like I remember getting all that stuff. De La Soul on vinyl, 3 Feet High and Rising, all from that spot.
Wow.
And then, you know, when we started driving in high school, and you know, you go up there, you pull up like 3 or 4 deep, try to holler at all the girls, and you know, then Northland just kind of did that. And
It took a dip.
yeah, but that's was
just what malls do, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy too, because that was close to where Slum Village's studio was. Barack Studios was close to Northland. So a lot of memories. My father used to work in the hospital over there, Providence Hospital, where I was born. And yeah, so nice little epicenter of a whole lot of happenings.
Yeah. But thank you again for hanging out with us.
Oh, this was amazing as usual.
We were looking forward to it.
Yes, we were. This time I didn't have to fan out because I already knew you. Sorry.
Nah, it's cool.
Oh, Zoe? Oh, that guy.
That nigga cool. What up, nigga? Hey. Nah, it's cool with y'all because I told people, I was like, yo, man, like I don't have many interviews where like my spirits is lifted during the interview or after the interview. I'm like, yo, man, we gotta make this shit regular.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think of another album you want to talk about, or if we think of something, we'll hit you.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
We can talk about anything.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, that's a plan. I'm down.
Yes. So yes, y'all need to pick up Abstractions.
Now.
Go and Tall Black Guy. You got just do it. Just do it.
Just do it because we said so.
Ooh.
We might need to have me and Tall Black Guy on this mug.
Oh.
And really go in about the album.
Oh Lord Jesus. Don't my heart. I don't think I'm gonna handle it.
That's what we need to do.
You know, I'll send you an email real quick. Like
it's probably already sent. Let me check.
Yes, that would be very dope.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you again. And again,
Absolutely.
check out Abstractions and everything, the whole discography and all the FE, everything. Just do it.
Y'all see why
Life will be better for it. Yes. So peace out, and we'll catch y'all on the next Catch That.
Yeah.